this I don't have a pocket. Okay, I'll solve it. We have to use this for the recording. So, 2 weeks ago, I sat in my chair right up there, and I thought, praise you, Lord, that they only ask the seniors to talk in chapel. I am just so thankful that I've got 3 years until I have to do that. And what do you know? God, with his wonderful sense of humor, invites me to speak here through Reverend Halford. So last week, I'm doing the nice girl thing, nodding my head, sure, yes, sir, sure. And I'm thinking, you just have no idea how God has just used you. But I am thankful for this opportunity just to share with you briefly about how God has brought me to this place. And it's pretty basic, pretty elementary, but my prayer is that in my sharing this that you can join me in just praising God and being grateful to him for his goodness and his faithfulness in all of our lives. And I start by saying that I've been in youth ministry for 2 years, as I've shared with some of you, and the past year our theme in our youth ministry was Seek the Son, and our key verse for the year was Jeremiah 29:13. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. And my youth group, I was just constantly saturating everything I taught them in seeking Christ. You know, that Christ wants your whole life. He wants your whole heart, not just the little pieces that we offer him on Wednesday night and Sunday night when we get together for youth group. That it's all about just total surrender. And of course, through doing this, God was speaking to me too and really guiding me in this process. And in my second year of youth ministry, I really started noticing that these youth, some of them were really following my teaching. You know, they were really following Christ and that their lives really were being changed by Christ, obviously not me. But that was so humbling for me. And during that time, God just impressed on my heart the responsibility of teaching. And I was just overwhelmed and realized that how crucial it is that we teach truth and how crucial it is that I have that deep understanding of who God is and what the Word is and what it means and a deep understanding of ministry. And so God really just started leading me in that direction of knowing that I needed a seminary education, knowing that to be fully prepared for this calling, I've got to have that education. So in the back of my mind, I'm hungering for that, I'm wanting that, but I'm so busy with youth ministry, and I'm still going full steam ahead, 90 to nothing. And during the spring of last year, two of my best friends in youth ministry, Jill Martin and Jamie Ross, and I decided to form a little accountability group Bible study thing, and we asked Carolyn Blakemore, Jamie asked Carolyn to be our teacher and to kind of guide that, and so she does, and through that Bible study and accountability group, the Lord really spoke to me, and I remember one week, Carolyn was talking about Hannah. Now you're thinking, now how does this relate to God's call? But Hannah, as you know, 1 Samuel chapter 1, was married to Elkanah, who also had another wife, Peninnah, who could have all the babies she wanted, and Hannah, of course, could not, and she was barren, and just grieved her heart. And there's that beautiful picture of her going to the temple and just on her face asking God for a son. And the word says that she poured out her heart to God. So in our little group, we started talking about how often is it that we just run to all our Christian friends and our pastors, and for me, my husband, my mother, the 3 ordained ministers at our church, and my little group of friends, and let me get your stamp of approval on what I'd like to do, but while I'm not really seeking God, and I was just very convicted of this. And so, after that Bible study, I realized that I was doing a lot of preaching on seeking God, but in my personal life, I was seeking answers from other people, and, that's such a tragedy in our lives. It's just a tragedy to know, what if I just continue my whole life running after what other people are going to tell me to do, but not seeking God? And it's important, of course, to seek guidance from our spiritual friends. I don't mean to discredit that, but obviously, first and foremost, is seeking Christ with our whole heart, as Jeremiah 29:13 says. So at this point in the spring of last year, all the pieces are starting to come together, and I'm really recognizing that God is getting His grip on me. And I took my youth, and may I still add, I'm still going 90-0 with the youth. So I took them to Georgia for spring break. We rented this big cabin on a lake, and it was wonderful. And it was wonderful for them. And so the purpose was a prayer retreat. And so in the meantime, I'm encouraging them to go off by themselves and pray. We pray as groups. I teach on prayer. The whole thing's about prayer. But of course, being the youth director, I am driving the 28-passenger bus. I'm sleeping 3 hours at night. I'm trying to get the guys out of the girls' rooms. I'm trying to get them to quit hypothermiating in the lake that's 40 degrees that they all want to jump in. And in the middle of all that, again, God is so good, and He, of course, wants to talk. So really, I think that trip was such a turning point for me, and I just had that epiphany of God speaking to me so plainly that, yes, I am calling you to pick it up and go to seminary. And I wanted to be obedient. I really did. I wanted to be here. But, of course, I could not see. I really could not see how in the world that would work out. So I basically said, okay, God, I'll be obedient, but you've got to take care of all the what ifs. And those what ifs were, what about my husband who still has 1 more year of law school and I'm supposed to pay the bills? Because that's how this arrangement is working at the moment. And what about, my family thinking I'm totally nuts, and which not all of them do, but a fair number of them do. And, what about my youth? Some of these kids are just going to be crushed when I leave them. I just can't do it right now. And so after we get back from the youth trip, I knew that I had to make myself accountable, and I knew that I had to tell Hayden, my husband, that how God had touched me and spoken to me. And so in the drive from the church parking lot to my house, I just kind of blurted it out there. I said, Hayden, I really think I need to go to seminary, and I really want to go to seminary. And I'm just, Hayden is the most logical person on the planet. So I'm waiting. I'm all prepared. He's going to say, what are you thinking? I still have to finish law school. Why don't you just wait till I finish law school? But anyway, just to my amazement, he just turned his head and said, wow, that is true. You do. Yes, you should go. We'll work it out. And I was like, this isn't how the story goes. And so, anyway, God really has just gained the glory in all of those situations. He has totally provided for us and for this situation. And I just cannot give words to how grateful I am to be here. And just to have experienced those few months of God preparing me, of God preparing Hayden, of preparing my youth group. They were amazingly supportive. And his plan has just far exceeded anything that I could come up with. And I know that all of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know of God's faithfulness in bringing you here. You know of His goodness, and you have been through all those things of ministry that I've been through. And to be here, it's just like He has just put me in this spacious place. And He's just set our feet on a rock. And I just praise Him. And I ask you to hold me accountable to being joyful and grateful with every day, with every exam, with the whole thing. I want to be grateful and I want to be joyful about the good work that the Lord is doing in this place and in all of our lives.
Morning. Okay. My name is Joe Nakamura. I'm glad to be here. I'm here because I'm tired. I'm here because I'm burnt out. That's the only reason I'm here. And also, I'm here because Dr. Tashiro, he is not here. I'm glad, but he always be with me before to meet my Jesus. And one time I decided to leave my country and never come back. I said I don't need my parents, no more friends, no more people in Japan. I just decided to live my life again by myself. That time, Dr. Tashiro was there for me, and he helped me to go into the English school and helped me to go to the college in the United States. It was in Kentucky. And there's a time that I was, in a trouble, smoking the drugs and drinking alcohol in the vehicle, and the police get me, and I was fixing to go to jail in Dry County. That's bad. But he was there to help me, and I just very thankful. Whenever I was deep in the kind of trouble, always somebody like Dr. Tashiro was there for me to see, how I am not useless, how I am kind of have a meaning for my life. And he showed me the kind of God's love and the brightness of His salvation. And one day I called him and, hey, I got saved. This make it show. it was happened like that. And he said, hey, why don't you come to the Wesley College? And I said, well, okay, I go. Then I was Wesley College when I was 27, so it's been 10 years. And I had a good experience there. The most good experience is being in the accountability group with Mr. Luman, who's Dr. Luman's husband, and one more student. The three of us are accountability group for 3 years. It was kind of new for me to see one of the good Christians crying and talking about his weakness and his troubles and the prayer requests. In Japan, I think the preacher or like good Christians don't say that kind of stuff. Of course, they don't have that. That's kind of things that I'm thinking. But that groups helps me to be honest. That groups helps me to live with Christ, and how great to be in a relationship with Him and the people who are so hungry to seek God's will. And so whenever I graduate, I thought I have a great way to evangelize. The new stuff for Japanese societies. I thought I have a fabulous, a fabulous kind of the teaching, so that I can tell the gospel to the youth groups. I have this and this and this. I have a full of the the ministry, the way to tell the gospel. But it didn't work. None of it. God have to take all the things that I had, because I think just because I was doing it, because I had everything, just because I was the center of the world, maybe. And there was a time that I have to pray God, hey, I will give up everything that I have. I just need to turn back to you and rely on you. And after that, He showed me and His calling exactly what I should do. And He led me to do things as a ministry. I was involved in Christian music ministry for 7-8 years, and I was doing the homeless ministries for 3 years now. And I was one of the Christian artist productions, the chaplain. And I got many opportunities to go into the youth camp and for speak. There was a lot of things that I'm doing. And I realize it's kind of like you. It's kind of busy days, But one day, me and my wife was kind of praying and talking, I feel like I'm kind of start seeing myself as a center to do things, and I want to see God's glory in my life, and we kind of pray and stuff. And there was one news in the internet, and it says there was a couple who went to a motel. She was pregnant, and she had a baby there, and they just left, and the baby was killed in the bathroom. That time we had a baby. He was about maybe a year. And as soon as we read the news, we cried, and the baby by himself, he's crying. He didn't see the warmness of the humanities, By himself, he just keep crying and died. And I was hurt, but I started thinking how Jesus was hurting him feelings, That's what He made it. But it just died like that. In Japan, 7 seconds, we killing the child. I mean, we're not actually killing, but That news, it reminds me how we are kind of grateful, and how the importance of the lives and what God made and he called me and my wife to do the ministry to fight with abortions and for the people who are dealing with some kind of trouble like that, or for the people who are in pain. We want to be the city of refuge for them. We want to be the place so that they can come and talk and pray and, to see what God is going to do for our lives. So I'm here to preparation for my future ministries, but I'm here to empty myself, not just gain the knowledge. That's not mean I'm not gonna study, Dr. Cocker. Don't take it wrong, but I'm here to be the hunger for Jesus Christ. I boast my weakness so that the mercy Christ can rest upon me.
In all honesty, first of all, I have to truly thank God for His grace and His mercy, first and foremost. If I'm going to be honest with you today, I would tell you this. Actually, where I'm at right now in 2006 is where I probably should have been in 1989. When I left high school in 1988, I had this tugging to go into some form of ministry. But in lieu of doing that, in 1989, I started my officer candidate training for the military. The thing is, when you get around a lot of different individuals, people identify potential and skills in you before you ever identify it in yourself. A lot of my military mentors were guys who were like special forces and rangers and this, that, and the other. So as a young cadet, I'm saying, you know what? I think I want to be a chaplain. Rankin, have you lost your ever-loving mind? The reality of it is you need to go and be all you can be. You need to be an Army Ranger, and I did all that great and wonderful stuff. But I would tell you this, in 1992, when I entered active duty, I'll tell you this, that tug never went away. There was always that struggle. Stay in, get out. In 2001, when I made the decision to get out, I was actually in Georgia. I was commanding a Ranger training company. I made the decision to get out. But as I made that decision, there's all these carrots that people put in front of you. Say, you know what? Stay. And I stayed. I mean, I got selected for some of the best schools in the military. And I'm not just talking about the hard charging schools. Those that you get masters and you go and get doctoral programs. But at any rate, I was in my apartment in Georgia and I was praying. Mind you, I'm from Mississippi, but I never thought I would come back. And I'm sitting there and I'm praying. I say, Lord, all these great and wonderful things that's before me, what do you want me to do? Clearly in my spirit, Mississippi, I stood up, I was mad. I said, oh, but no. Was that me? Was that God? Or was that the devil? Because I'm not trying to go back to Mississippi. But at any rate, I said, okay, Lord, fine. If you want me to go back to Mississippi, you let me know the next day. I was that adamant about it. Because there's something about being obedient. You tell me how to do it. I may ask why, but you tell me how to do it. I went to work, sitting at my desk, checking the computer. I even called the Department of the Army. Hey, is there anything on the scope by Mississippi? Nope, you aren't going. Went home, getting out of my uniform, hit the answering machine. I remember who it was. At the time, I was a captain. Captain Rankin, this is Lieutenant Colonel Oliver. I want to know if we can get you to come back to Mississippi to teach. I said, I got you, Lord. All ears. I got you. So I came back. Little did I know that I did not know that my father was terminally ill. And my father was my best friend. A lot of men can't say that, but he was. Little did I know that I would have needed his advice and support of a lot of family members because of events that come up in our lives. So I'm thankful God for pushing me in directions that I never thought that I would be going myself. Even with that said, on the 4th of July, 2004, I submitted my paperwork to get out of the military. And I know you can kind of relate to that, particularly in what's going on in the world right now. They kind of sent me a nice little thing, based on needs of the Army, this, that, and the other, so forth and so on, we can't let you go. I said, fine, I didn't fight it. But somehow, some way, they ended up letting me go. And that was okay. But then, too, when I put that paperwork in, a lot of folks at Rankin, you know what? You're disappointing us. Because, we've done all these things to help you get where you need to get to, and now you're leaving. Well, you know what? You got to have priorities. My priority at that time was not to do that. Not that I have anything against the military, because I don't. In seeking seminary, I was actually leaning toward another institution. My belief is that as much time, as much effort as I put into the military service, I need to do the same thing for God. And this is preparation for me. In truth, this seminary here was not my first choice. I was actually leaning toward another institution. But the one thing I know is I want to go somewhere that was real. There are two things that made me come here. Number one was you, sir, Reverend Happer. He probably knows my story better than anybody else. We sat there and I saw the genuineness in the way he accepted some things that we were talking about. Secondly, indirectly, I'm one of those guys that like to go and scout out things, see what's going on. Dr. Friedemann, he was up in his classroom. He was teaching. And I heard him say something that was just so profound. And, like Jesus, the greatest teacher that ever walked the face of the earth. I said, now that's where I want. That's where I need to be. Now, you may be wondering what this picture's about. I'm going to scroll through these real quick for the sake of time. And I'm going to show you something here. Did I just mess up something? Okay. All right, let me go a little bit slower here. Just look at them. I'm going to stop on one. I'm an individual, to be honest with you, who should be dead a few times over, and not because of these pictures. I should be dead because of parachute malfunctions. I should be dead because of hypothermia and a whole host of other stuff. And to be honest with you, it may sound crazy when I say it, that ain't a big deal. It almost scares me, but I'm really not afraid of death. Because if you really believe in life after death the way we're supposed to believe it, you understand. The sincerity in these pictures is this. I was wrestling with God for the last time about whether or not I was going to stay in the military or go to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. It was a struggle. I knew something was going to happen that night. I didn't know what. That truck, Z701, I like my trucks. I'm upside down. I won't go into the whole details of how I got there, but I'm upside down. I was doing 65 in a 65 in Selma, Alabama, headed back to Fort Benning, Georgia. And I remember being upside down, and I'm saying, okay, Lord, I got it. I know it ain't my time to go. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. All righty? Clear as day in my spirit. Get out of the truck right now. When you look at the pictures, don't ask me how I got out. But I got out. Less than 3 minutes when I got out, another vehicle came screaming down the highway and rear-ended me. I say all that to say this. I want to make sure I get this right. My being here is not by accident. I truly enjoy the atmosphere. I enjoy the fact that I'm around quality instructors. I enjoy the fact that I'm about to glean something off of them. But it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about God, first and foremost. And let me close this real quickly by a couple of quick little points. As of right now, all these great and wonderful experiences that I've gone through, and I've only touched on a few, have allowed me to work in men's ministries, to include in Korea, and right now in Vicksburg at my church. I work, too, with youth, and that's a challenge. They can challenge you. And also worked with some campus ministries throughout. But I'm going to leave you with this. And I'm going to kind of personalize it. It comes from 1 Corinthians 6 and 20. Because I can honestly say this about myself. And it kind of ties back into what I said earlier. How did I end up here at Wesley? I'm here out of obedience. But you know what? I'm bought with a price. Therefore, I'm going to glorify God in my body and in my spirit, which belongs to God anyway. Thank you.